Greetings and salutations, travelers of the internet. Welcome to the Lit Round Table. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph. Today we'll be your wise or not so wise mentors for today's audio adventure into all things storytelling. And today, in our episode 13 of season 2, we will be talking recasting. When characters are recasted in movies, TV shows, all that good stuff, what it entails, what we think about it, when it's appropriate, when it's necessary, all that good stuff. So, but first, of course, we're going to do a shameless plug for our read-along, which is Hall of Smoke. And it's still in the early stages, but it's really good so far. So if you haven't started, go ahead and pick that book up and join us in our read-along playlist for Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long. It's been great. And if you want to be in on the next vote for the next read-along, you can subscribe to our Patreon, which will be linked in the description. Always, right? Isn't that always in there?
Yeah, you betcha.
Yep. So check it out. If you're on YouTube anyway, yeah.
It's
up?
in the description of all the places.
Okay.
And if you want to read and catch up with us before next week, you should read through chapter 11, which is only 76 pages. So
that's not bad. You can do that in a night if you really tried.
Yeah, totally. And you've got a whole week. So get on it.
And if you are interested in some bonus content, we do record bonus content every month for our $10 Patreon subscribers / patrons, I guess is what I should say. And we just got done recording that episode, which is us sorting ourselves into our Hogwarts houses based on the wizardingworld.com quiz / Pottermore quiz. And one of us was pleased, and one of us was not so pleased. So I'm not going to say who, though, because you have to subscribe and watch it to find out. So, anyway.
It was
very fun. Now that that's out of the way, Anna, what you been up to? What you watching, reading, playing? All that good stuff.
Well, I would just love to tell you. I'm going to start with playing first, because I got to tell you this dumb thing that I did.
Okay.
I usually play... I have a Solitaire app on my phone that I play in the evening. And there's like 3 goals, and I like to get my 3 goals, right?
You're such an old lady. Continue.
I know. But it gets worse. Because I finished my 3 goals on like my first round of Solitaire. Because you can like, depending on how your hand deals out, like you can hit all of them at once. Happened. Exciting. Except that I wanted to play 3 games of Solitaire. But then I got an ad for Candy Crush. This is not a sponsor. I got an ad. I got an ad for Candy Crush, which I played when Candy Crush was new on my iPad before I had a smartphone. And I was like far. But it was a time suck. And so I deleted it. But you know what? That ad was really enticing. And I was like, I wonder if that is as fun as I remember it being.
They got you, didn't they? They got you.
They did. But you know what I appreciate about Candy Crush? You only get so many lives in a day. And if you don't want to pay money, once you're out of lives, you're done. So it's like a built-in timer, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So
that is good.
So anyway, I'm playing Candy Crush.
I mean, let's be real. It's a toilet game.
I don't play it on the toilet, but sure, I suppose a lot of people do.
I mean, I feel like most mobile games end up becoming toilet games.
I suppose.
That's what my mobile games turn into. I don't know what you're doing. But...
I mean, I'm scrolling TikTok, but...
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so that's what I'm playing.
Nice.
For reading, we are working on The Long Winter for book club, which has been really fun. And for our read-along on the podcast, of course, Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long. And, I should say The Long Winter is by Laura Ingalls Wilder. If you didn't know, now you know.
Right.
Also working through Secrets of Storytelling, a creative writing workbook for kids with my writing club, and that's been really fun. They're awesome. I love them. and their little creative brains. Like, it is
cool.
just so cool. And I think I'm listening to other audiobooks, but I kind of put them down because I've been really invested in listening to Critical Role.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it happens.
It does. So moving on to what I'm watching. I'm all caught up on Campaign 3. Excited for tomorrow because
I'm about to be.
Holy smokes, my dude.
I'm through the break on this latest one. So, like, a ton of stuff got revealed in the first part, but I'm sure crazy crap's going to happen in the second part, too. So.
Yeah. I think that they're dropping some hints at things from Campaign 2 that if I were all the way through Campaign 2, I would appreciate more.
Huh.
Yeah, with, like, Aor and, like, that stuff.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So.
Oh, no, I hope they don't, like, spoil things for Campaign 2.
I mean, I'm booking it.
Okay.
So I'm also listening to Campaign 2.
Also, Campaign 2 is like 146 episodes.
I'm on episode 32 of Campaign 2.
Okay. So you have like
over 100 episodes left.
115 to go. 114, 115.
Anyway. So that's where I'm at with Critical Role.
Okay.
And what else have I watched? I watched there's a show on Netflix that's about Scientology. Like a documentary, expose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Fascinating and strange.
You know, it's fun to watch documentaries about cults sometimes.
Yeah. And then I also watched Catching Killers, which is, I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I'm having a hard time with,
I just gave her a face. You can't see it, but I was just like, what, why are you setting yourself up for
nightmares?
Anger and sadness?
And nightmares.
Yeah.
I don't know what my deal is, because I'm usually like, I want to escape, but I have not been very good at that lately.
Like Hope is watching A Handmaid's Tale right now, and I'm like, why are you're just making yourself so mad?
Yeah, no, I won't be doing that.
In this day and age, you're gonna subject yourself to that kind of fiction.
I'm not.
Oh.
I don't know what you know what. So Catching Killers, it's not like an unsolved like serial killer cases. They're solved. So you know that the episodes are going to end with them revealing who the killer is.
It's like an adult Scooby-Doo.
Except it's real.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I don't know why I watched that, but I did. I watched all of it.
Scooby-Doo is real. Didn't you see Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island?
I did. It literally gave me nightmares.
The zombies were real. The ghosts were real.
And it gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also, we're watching Jujutsu Kaisen for our anime night. We're almost done. We're going to finish that up this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to make you... I'm not going to reveal what I'm going to make you watch next.
Okay.
I think I know. I'm between two, but we'll see.
Okay. That's fair.
So, anyway, I think that's all I got.
Cool. My turn.
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with watching. Like you said, Jujutsu Kaisen. Like you said, Critical Role. Also, I don't know if I mentioned last time, I think that we were watching it, but we finished, Hope and I wrapped up Spy Family.
Aww.
I don't know if that came up before.
It didn't.
For as far as it's gone. Spy Family is one of the best anime that's currently airing, in my opinion.
I wholeheartedly agree.
It is so charming and exciting, and there's like intrigue, and it's such a bizarre premise, but it just works. Like,
yeah,
it's just nuts. Like, the premise is, it seems like it'd be too much, but it's like not.
So this isn't too spoilery because it happens in like the first episode, but
yeah,
the dad is a spy, and to complete a mission that he's on, he needs to adopt a kid to get into this prestigious school. So he adopts Anya, and Anya can read minds, and she's also already obsessed with spies. So it's kind of perfect, but he doesn't know that she can read minds. But in order to get into this school, you have to be like the perfect family. And so they have to find a wife to play into the charade. And she's an assassin. And hijinks ensues.
Yes. A spy, an assassin, and a telepath living in the same place. And the assassin has no idea that the spy is a spy and the telepath is a telepath. And the spy has no idea that the assassin is an assassin. Or the telepath is a telepath. The little girl that's telepathic knows that there's a spy and an assassin, but she doesn't like divulge that to anyone. So,
no.
And she has some of the funniest inner dialogue ever.
Yes.
It is so funny.
And she also doesn't interpret their thoughts very well.
And she's adorable.
Yes.
Well, she's only like 5 or 6, right?
Right. She's a little kid. So like she hears their thoughts and she's like, I'm going to do that. And then it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so good.
Anyway, love it. Also, Hope and I yesterday, was it yesterday? No, sorry, day before yesterday. Yeah, went to go see Thor: Love and Thunder in the theater. It was good. I liked it. It was very crazy. Like, you need to go into it not like just, it's like a roller coaster ride. You just got to go into it and expect it to be crazy and weird.
Okay.
And you'll be fine.
Okay. I do want to see that one. Because I really liked Ragnarok. Do you have to see the, the Benedict Cumberbatch movie?
Multiverse of Madness?
Thank you.
No.
Okay, cool.
You sure don't.
Cool.
Really, you only have to see the other Thor movies and the Avengers ones, like the Infinity War and Endgame. And yeah, it's fine. But yeah, that's it for watching right now. Reading Hall of Smoke for the read along, and also still trucking through Words of Radiance, Stormlight Archive, and stress. Oof. I'm sweating just thinking about it. Anyway, but like in a good way. Like it's like it's gripping, obviously. Anyway, so playing Bloodborne and now Elden Ring, which now that I have a PS5, I have Elden Ring on PS5, and that is very open world, like the world is ginormous, and all the enemies are super obnoxious and hard to beat, but it's still fun because you get a horse that can double jump. The horse jumps and it's cute.
So I have a friend that's playing Elden Ring, and they've clocked like 90 hours, and they're still in the tutorial. But I don't see how that's possible.
I mean, I've clocked in quite a few hours. I've beaten the first 2 main story bosses. And I still only have, like, the 2 spells that you start the game with. I need to figure out how to find some more spells and to buy more spells, because I'm getting really tired of casting the same spell over and over again.
Fair.
But I just got to go out and find it, because it's a big open world game. Like,
right. I don't know if I like that these open world games, like, clock your time or not. Like, I don't know if I would want to
part of you just doesn't want to know, you know?
Right.
Some people see it as like a point of pride, or like people who like clock their hours for how much time they spent in like World of Warcraft, you know, and it's like a full-time job practically.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they told me how much they had clocked, and I was like, well, I've clocked more than that in Critical Role. So,
yeah. Same.
I mean, no judgment. As long as you're having a good time, no judgment.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, playing Elden Ring. And also, Hope and I got to play some more Lego Star Wars the other day.
Nice.
And we are now through. We made it through all the way episode 4, man. We finished episode 3, got through episode 4, and now we're on Empire Strikes Back, episode 5. And we finally got the stud multiplier cheats. So the studs are times 8 now.
Nice.
So it's so much easier to buy things. It's great. Love it.
Very cool.
Love it.
It took you till episode 4 to get that, though? That's crazy.
I mean, okay, the thing is, though, we could have gotten it at like the end of episode 3, but we forgot that was a thing. We like blew all of our money on characters like idiots.
You pulled an Anna.
It's like, oh, we have like a million studs. Let's buy all these characters that we just got available. So I have every single version of Emperor Palpatine and General Grievous and like all the Obi-Wans. But then it's like, oh crap, we should have spent that on the stud multiplier because then we could just earn it back twice as fast.
Yeah.
And get the characters faster.
That's really funny.
So, anywho, that's what I've been playing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So,
love it.
On that note, so let's talk recasting characters. So, we kind of jumped into this when we were talking about the Kenobi show because we were talking about how the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor, had a voice actor for Rebels, and then he was cast as not the same person as the voice actor, which is fine, but that actor went out of his way to not watch Rebels to see how the character was portrayed before, which kind of snowballed us into a recasting tangent, which we cut off at the knees to save for an episode. So
yeah, because I mean, honestly, with that show, we could have gone into so many characters because I feel like that's the opposite of how Ewan McGregor approached Obi-Wan. I feel like he really did a character study on Starlight Guinness and his performance as Obi-Wan, or as Old Ben, I should say, in A New Hope, and he did like glean some of those mannerisms because he wanted it to feel like he wanted it to gel, which you can really tell.
Yeah.
And then young Leia, which is different, casting a child actor for an adult. But she also did a really nice job of kind of capturing the essence of Carrie Fisher into a small body.
For sure.
For Leia. So, yeah. Very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Star Wars, that's an interesting one because it has a lot of recasting, but mostly because it spans such a long time period, both in real life and in the series. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can kind of go there really, well, I'm trying to think of how I want to go about like the order in which to talk about things.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to derail your flow for the episode.
No, you're fine because it's still a good segue because it's all Star Wars. But an interesting thing that has happened with some of these movies that take place in a time period where that time period was originally filmed in the 70s or the 80s, so the actors aren't alive anymore. Like in Rogue One with Tarkin, how instead of recasting with a lookalike, they completely made a digital face for Tarkin, and like they digitally created Grand Moff Tarkin for the movie. How do you feel about that? Would you rather if they had recasted, or do you like that they tried to keep it as like the same person, but just digitally?
I have mixed feelings about this because I think with Tarkin, they've recast him, or they didn't recast him, and they also didn't recast Leia for that. Her little cameo, because their appearances happened simultaneous with another movie in the franchise that was older, so they wanted them to look exactly the same. Well, and okay, here's where my brain is getting like stuck. Is all of like the extra Star Wars intellectual property. Like all the movies, all the graphic novels, like all these things that have come out since A New Hope. They have these characters in them. They have Leia, they have Han, they have Luke, they have Grand Moff Tarkin. They have all these people, and they're drawn to look like them. Like their likeness is put into the story. So Carrie Fisher's Leia is the only Leia. And I'm curious if these actors, and I hope these actors are getting paid royalties for their likeness being used. Like, I hope they had really good contracts.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess they probably didn't.
Well, because how could you have predicted in the 70s that technology would be where it's at now and you could digitally recreate someone's likeness
Right.
in a live action thing
Right.
and have it not be a cartoon,
But, like, I feel like if you're going to use... It's Peter Cushing, right, that did Grand Moff Tarkin?
Yes.
I feel like if you're going to use Peter Cushing's likeness, then his estate should get some kind of reimbursement for that.
Yeah.
And they also used, like, synthesizers for his voice. Like, if we didn't know that Peter Cushing was... No, it's not Peter Cushing. Is it?
I thought so. I thought that was his name.
Well, if we didn't know that he was dead, we would think that he was in that movie. You know what I mean?
Except for the weird uncanny valley of, like, you can still tell it's a digital person. But in theory, I know what you mean.
Like, kids
they were
watching...
treating it... Yeah.
Kids watching would not be able to tell. Probably.
I don't know. It's not worth getting hung up on. Like, maybe kids would be able to tell, but just because the uncanny valley is very hard to get out of with digital effects. But
that's true.
Either way, it doesn't really matter. The point is that they're intending for it to be like that. Like, the filmmakers are intending for it to be like you don't know that he's dead.
Right. And the same with Leia.
And I'm sure there's some actor out there who would be able to do a great job. But
but like in The Mandalorian, then they had young Luke Skywalker, who looks like they put an overlay on that actor to look like young Mark Hamill.
To be fair, though, they did have Mark Hamill on set, though.
Right.
So I'm sure the man was paid handsomely. Also, he was paid millions and millions of dollars to be in The Force Awakens, where he literally just stands there and turns around and looks at Rey. I mean, he's doing fine. But I know what you mean about, like, wanting the actors to get paid for their likeness being used.
Right. Because Star Wars is a huge IP.
Yes. Yeah.
And their likeness gets used in marketing all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in these extra publications that would not have originally been planned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just I get that, like, Mark Hamill, he's, Harrison Ford, like, they're set.
They don't have to work another day in their lives.
But also they get harassed.
Yeah.
On the daily. So I feel like they should also get compensated for their likeness being used. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel funny about the use of Peter Cushing's likeness like that, because he's not around. And the same with Leia. Carrie Fisher's
I hope that they at
anymore.
least got his family's permission.
Yeah.
I hope so. I don't know. I haven't done research into that, but I hope they at least got his permission.
But I also know that the Star Wars community can be very toxic, and that if they hadn't done that, people would be like, it doesn't look like him. So...
Yeah.
Which is super irritating. Or, like, even, when we were kids, we would talk about how, like, well, how is Ewan McGregor going to end up looking like Sir Alec Guinness? Like, what is the aging going... Like, how does he get from that young person to old man?
Yeah. There are some moments in Star Wars where you just have to shrug, Right.
But also, like, now that I'm older, I'm like, well, the path to gray is not as long as you think it is when you're 12.
No, definitely not.
So, and you just have to not let that bother you at some point.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I think that, like, the digital recreations didn't bother me. Like, in theory, it's mostly about, like, the permissions and making sure the right people were paid. Because at the same time, they still ended up paying a bunch of animators to do it. Right. So, like, somebody got paid for it, and they did a good job. But credit where credit's due. The real Peter Cushing walked so that the digital Peter Cushing could run.
I really hope that's who that actor is.
Look it up real quick. I'm sure it is.
I think it is.
It is. I'm sure it is. But anyway, while you look that up, so that's just one aspect of recasting that I wanted to dive into really quickly. But also, I was talking to Hope about... It is Peter Cushing?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking to Hope about this too. We were just kind of rattling off different, like, franchises that have had fairly noticeable recasts in roles. So one of them I want to save for last because it's intentional recasting and it's brilliant. See if you can guess it just from that hint. But that'll be the last.
I got it.
You know it? Okay,
I think
you probably know it. Anyway, but first...
Well, if it's not what I think it is, then we're going to have to talk about what I just thought of, too.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, tons of big IPs have had recasting, like Game of Thrones has had recasting with Dario Naharis from Daenerys's quest line. It used to be this like long-haired, handsome man, clean-shaven, and they totally recast him to a guy that looks completely different next season. That was weird. There's been other things too, but Harry Potter has had a lot of recasting with Dumbledore. Dumbledore was recast. I believe the Dumbledore actor died though.
Yes.
The original one.
They had to recast because...
Right.
Yeah.
However,
too bad because he was anyway.
This is one... No, he was great. The original one. I mean, they were both good. They're both good actors, but... But Hope clued me into a recasting that was not okay. That was done in Harry Potter. And I had no idea that this happened. A character named Lavender Brown, who was cast as a black person, was when they were a small role that was non-speaking role. Once they became a speaking role, was recast as a white person. Hate to see that.
That's so awful.
We hate to see that.
Wow.
And I mean, I understand like why maybe they had to recast to like a different actor just in general, because if there was like scheduling conflicts, that actor couldn't, like the original one couldn't do it, but at least recast them to look the same and don't recast someone
ethnically.
And yeah, like especially, I'm just going to say it, I don't care. Especially don't go from person of color to white, because that's just a PR nightmare. Are you kidding me?
Or in an ethical nightmare. Like,
yeah.
Gosh.
Like even just looking at it from like a money grubbing, like not wanting to tick off the audience standpoint, like you guys should have recast them as like an African American actress, or not necessarily African American, just a black actor. Like, come on, guys, way to fumble the ball there. And speaking of the Harry Potter franchise, there's also Fantastic Beasts with all the Johnny Depp drama, with recasting him as Mads Mikkelsen for the last movie, which I love Mads Mikkelsen, but that was just dumb. That was a recasting.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama around that one.
There's a lot of drama around that one, so we don't have to get into like the drama because it doesn't really pertain to the conversation. But
it is frustrating when there's an actor who's still like a very good actor who's still very much available.
Yeah,
gets dropped from a project because of allegations.
And maybe Mads Mikkelsen would have been a better choice just from the start. You know, like maybe he should have been Grindelwald all along. That's fine. The recasting was weird. There's also, like we talked about, the Star Wars thing with the Inquisitor in the Obi-Wan show. Star Wars has had more than just that, though. I feel like there's definitely been other...
You could technically say that Darth Vader has been recast because
of
Anakin. But they used the James Earl Jones voice once he's in the... Anyway. And also, like, going from a child actor in episode 1 to Hayden Christensen in 2 and 3.
Right. Right.
Oh, what about the Return of the Jedi remastered, where it's Hayden Christensen at the end instead of the original actor for Anakin?
Yeah.
Old man actor for Anakin.
That's weird because they almost totally cut him out of the movie because of that. Well, I guess if it's the same actor that was under the helmet, like for the helmet taking off scene,
then
it's hard to tell. Then it's fine. It is hard to tell though, and it's kind of weird, but yeah.
Anyway.
It doesn't really make sense why his Force Ghost would have de-aged.
No. No, it doesn't.
It's also nice of the Force to allow his Force Ghost to still have his robotic limbs. They should have he's just like a burnt lump on the ground as a Force Ghost. He's got like the smoker voice because his vocal cords are charred.
Gosh. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Star Wars has had recasting, but those recastings have mostly been due to like timeline shift things.
Right.
You know,
they make sense. Or like Lando, you know, and even Han Solo, getting the young actors for them in the Solo movie, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
And they did a great job, I thought. Personally.
Yeah. This is one where the actor was just straight up recast. And that's in the Mummy movies. Do you remember this one? The main female lead was recast in the last one, where it was like the Chinese mummies.
I don't remember that one very well.
Me neither. It wasn't very memorable. It wasn't that good, but they totally recast the female lead, which is a shame. Also, in the Marvel movies, Rhodey, Iron Man's buddy, was a totally different actor in the first Iron Man movie.
You're right.
Compared to going forward. And that was totally memed. I forget the actor's name, but every time someone's like, hey, who should we cast? If this person had to be recast, who would you pick? And it's just a meme where everyone says that actor.
That's funny.
Or it's like they should just, or if there's something where like an actor, people don't like an actor and they're like, they need to recast them. They're like, oh, they should just recast them as this person and not even mention it and just pretend like it didn't happen.
That's funny.
It's a meme. But, yeah, anyway. So those are also, those are all like instances that I was thinking about when thinking about this topic of recasting.
Well, you know which one I thought of? Which ones I thought of? I thought of Bewitched, because Darren in season 1 is different than all the rest of the Darrens.
I totally forgot that, dude. You're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I totally forgot about Bewitched.
I don't know why he got recast. I just know that he did. I don't think he died, but I suppose he could have. Ugh, I don't know.
A lot of smokers back then.
He wasn't that old, but yeah. And then I also, of course, thought of Stargate and the Kurt Russell to Richard Dean Anderson, which I don't think Richard Dean Anderson cared at all about Kurt Russell's performance in the movie.
No, totally different people.
He was like, I'm going to do my own thing with this. And then you have James Spader being replaced by Michael Shanks, who did care a lot about Daniel's character, maintaining continuity, and did use a lot of the same mannerisms as James Spader, and did a really nice job with it.
Yeah.
Michael Shanks is one of... I have said this so many times as a younger person, like watching Stargate, but some of the stuff that they put his character through and like the acting that he had to do blows my mind.
Yeah, the dude's underappreciated for sure.
For sure.
A lot of range there.
Yeah. And then the other one is Weir. She went from being a short blonde to a tall brunette.
Yep.
It was real weird.
I totally forgot about her character until you just brought her up.
Well, she's not my fave, but anyway.
No. My favorite leader of Atlantis was Samantha Carter.
I was going to say, you better say Amanda Tapping's character.
Captain or Lieutenant Colonel Samantha Carter.
Mm-hmm.
She went through a lot of ranks in that show. Anyway.
She did.
Yeah, Stargate. And that's just something, I feel like TV shows are more likely to have recastings than movies are, at least with like franchises, because of like the nature of them. They go on for so long.
Sure. I will say, Stargate, it went from a movie to a TV show. So like that was a transition. So that makes sense. And you can watch the TV show without having seen the movie. You won't be you'll be a little lost, but not for very long. They get that cleared up pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And then the Elizabeth Weir recasting happens she goes from like the main show to a spinoff. And it's in the spinoff that she's recast. So like if you haven't seen the episodes where she's in the first one, you wouldn't even know. So, like, they did it well, I think. But
yeah. So there's a lot of things that would have necessitated a recasting. There's scheduling conflicts with actors. There's a role suddenly becomes a much bigger role, and the studio's like, we need someone with like better acting credentials to fill the spot instead of the kind of fill-in person we had, which I feel like is what happens with roles like for Elizabeth Weir, like in Stargate, you know.
Yeah, I don't know about Weir, but my guess for the other two, for Daniel Jackson and
Kurt Russell.
Jack O'Neill is the character name. So James Spader, like that happened in a time when movie actors and TV actors didn't cross. Like they were not the same. So it makes sense that they had to find different actors to do the TV show. Richard Dean Anderson was an established TV show actor.
Yeah, MacGyver.
MacGyver. Michael Shanks, I don't know if he had a like real solid acting history before Stargate, but he certainly wasn't James Spader. So like it makes sense that they had to transition to different actors for that show, even though that show ended up being wildly successful for the Sci-Fi Channel. And you know, it's a great show.
So there's a lot of reasons recasting can happen. Some of them are definitely legitimate. Some of them are not, and it's annoying. Like the Harry Potter one with recasting the black actress with a white actress. And there's other things too. But some of the recastings are intentional. And it's either because one, it's a reboot of the franchise, like Spider-Man. How you've got the Raimi movies with Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Then you've got the Andrew Garfield, and you've got the Tom Hollands. They're all like reboots though of a franchise, so that makes sense because if you cast them as the same person, people are going to be confused.
Right.
You know, so that I get it, but it's I get it. It still seems...
The benefit of comics like that is that oftentimes the universe in comic book has also rebooted several times.
Yes. And there's so much story to pull from with comics.
Yeah.
Because those stories have been continuously told since... the comics first came out. So there's so many different like plot lines to get inspiration from with comics.
And they keep being retold. Like there's still Spider-Man comics coming out, I'm sure. Not that I'm a comic aficionado, but I'm
sure they
positive.
I'd be shocked if there were no new Spider-Mans coming out. But anyway, those are intentional, obviously. And there's also things like, and James Bond too gets recast a lot because of kind of rebooting of the franchise, you know, except for in the current iteration of James Bond, I believe spoiler if you haven't seen it, but I believe they killed him. I think Daniel Craig's James Bond gets blown up. So I think he's getting recast as a different person, which I heard a rumor about Idris Elba. Could be totally wrong. I don't know. That could be way off base. That could have been just like a prediction, but if it was Idris Elba, that'd be cool. I'd support it.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
For sure.
But the one that I was going to talk about that is intentional because plot, what do you think it is?
I think you're going to say Doctor Who.
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
I was like, if you don't say Doctor Who, I don't know who you're going to say.
Yeah. So that's one where the main character of the show is recast every couple of years because that's like part of his alien DNA is that if he dies, he regenerates as a new person. So if anyone kills the Doctor, he comes back as a totally different British dude or lady recently.
Right.
So
which there was only supposed to be 12.
12? Yeah.
But now they've gone way past.
Yeah, there were only supposed to be 12 because of, you know, like how many hours on the clock. You know, Time Lords, blah, blah, blah. It's a thing. Anyway, so that's one where I think that's actually a stroke of creative genius, though, because you allow your franchise a breath of fresh air every couple of years when, that doctor has run their course, you can pick up with a new one and have totally different vibes and aesthetics and like acting styles and comedy and humor. Like, you can totally change the vibe of your show based on the wants or the perceived wants of the general public too. So you can like constantly keep people engaged in your show without having the characters change. Instead of having the characters like stay as the same character and like change how they are, like personality wise, you're like having the same character but literally changing who they are. Like literally they're a different person every however many years that this show runs for. So,
and then you get to drop little like Easter eggs, like small things that the new iteration of the Doctor may like call back to,
back when I had celery on my suit, pinned to my suit, just as a ornament.
Yeah.
So that's a franchise that's actually really interesting with the way they do recasting.
I didn't even like when I was thinking about this conversation today, Doctor Who didn't even cross my mind because it is so intentional. Like it's so expected.
Yeah.
By people who are familiar. Like if you've just heard Doctor Who's really good, you should watch it and you should start with the 9th Doctor and you don't know what that means and you get one season of Chris Eccleston and you just finally start to like him and then he dies. And then
you get David Tennant.
Who's lovely. But it would be a little jarring if you like went into it without having any clue. But most people know that that's the stick, right? Like that. Don't get too attached because eventually they'll have to move on. So.
But people get attached anyway, and then it's sad.
That's true. So sad.
Very sad when they change.
Yeah, the David Tennant one was both David Tennant and Matt Smith were heartbreaking.
Matt Smith Doctor Who was really for me peak Doctor Who. I really liked David Tennant. David Tennant I think was my favorite Doctor, but like the Matt Smith era was, I feel in my mind, was like the peak of Doctor Who. Like that's also when Doctor Who was all over like Tumblr and like the Super Who-lock people, you know who you are. Also Supernatural, another show that does recastings, but they can kind of get away with it because of like the angel and demon aspect of the show. Like they'll recast a demon as a different character because, I'm possessing a different body this time. Like they find...
I was like, I didn't even know.
Like they find a way to make that work in like the established mechanics of the show. So they get away with it on like a technicality, but they do recast like Ruby, that demon that Sam has a thing for. Who the actor ends up marrying Jensen Ackles. Not Jensen Ackles. Actually marries
Jared Padalecki.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a thing. But really quick, I did want to throw you a curveball. Since we're talking recasting. And I am going to make you recast your favorite fictional role. I'm going to say, you have to do it, gun to your head. You have to recast this character. Who do you recast them as? With current, like people that could do the role today, not going back in time. People that today you would choose to play the role. I want you to recast Aragorn.
I knew it the minute you started talking. I don't know if you can see how white my knuckles are.
Yeah, your hands are like clenched in front of your face, like, no!
Okay, I just want to say, I think that Viggo Mortensen is the perfect Aragorn.
Viggo Mortensen is Aragorn.
Yes.
Like,
I fully expect the Lord of the Rings movies to get remade in my lifetime. And I will be one of the people that is like, well, you need to see the original.
Yeah.
For Gandalf, for Aragorn, for like all of them. They all embody their characters so perfectly. Who would I recast Aragorn with? Wow.
It's a tough question. I know we're gonna have a lot of dead air for this, so I'm definitely gonna cut some out. But for those of you listening at home, you won't hear that. But just know that there is so much pondering and thinking happening on Anna's side of the screen. Recasting Aragorn.
I just love Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn so much.
I know you do.
I'm like drawing a blank on actors that would even be in the right like age range. Because here's what I'm having a hard time with.
Mm-hmm.
Aragorn as a character is very fit, but he's not like buff.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a big push in Hollywood right now for like fit actors to be like big old muscle men. And that's just
like
not
Thor.
Aragorn. Right.
Yeah.
No. Like that doesn't fit for the character. And also he shouldn't be that young because Aragorn is not that young. But he shouldn't be too old because Aragorn doesn't look as old as he is.
The guy who plays Rhodey from Iron Man.
Oh my gosh.
Interestingly enough, you know who would be in the right age range now? And it would be really funny. It wouldn't happen, but would actually be Orlando Bloom. That could work.
Yeah, technically.
Wouldn't be terrible.
If I think of Orlando Bloom as like Will Turner, yes.
Yes, but he's also a little beefier now, but not like buff.
Right.
You know?
Right.
He looks more weathered now.
That's true.
Yeah,
he would be
and he already knows Elvish, so.
Yeah, he'd be okay. You know, Sam Heughan would also be fun, but again, pretty buff.
Who now?
Sam Heughan? He's Jamie from Outlander.
He's not like too buff.
No. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what, though? That put me on the right train of thought because the guy who plays Murta would be a good Aragorn.
Or, hear me out, the guy who plays Murta could also be a good Theoden.
Now, they aged him up a lot in the last season that he was in because it had been, 10 years.
No, I know.
But you are correct. He would be a good Theoden.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd also be a good Aragorn. They're kind of the same age.
You could pull it off.
He plays all the parts.
Yeah.
No, Theoden, he'd be good as Theoden. Okay, so... Well, okay. I don't love Orlando Bloom as Aragorn just because he is Legolas.
Yeah, it's not perfect. Yeah, let's say you have to pick someone who wasn't already in a Lord of the Rings movie or a Hobbit movie. You can't pick the guy that played Bard as Aragorn, even though that would have also worked for sure.
Yeah, that would have worked for sure.
What's his name?
Luke Evans.
Yeah.
Luke Evans.
Yes. Matthew McConaughey. No.
No. Never. Never.
Brad Pitt.
I really do feel pretty strongly about the guy who plays Murta. Duncan.
Yeah.
LaCroix. I don't know how to say his last name. It kind of looks like LaCroix. It might be LaCroix. Man, that's really not fair, man.
Yeah, I knew it wouldn't be. I knew you'd hate that so much.
I don't even have a character that I can throw at you that would be equally as daunting to recast.
No, you don't. And that was intentional.
If not Orlando Bloom, then who would you pick?
For Aragorn?
Yeah.
Will Ferrell. No, I'm just kidding. I would pick I don't know. I'm also thinking of people that were in other shows in that same like genre. So like I'm like actors from The Last Kingdom are going through my head too. But like the guy that plays Uhtred, I think is too buff for Aragorn.
I mean,
but he could do it.
He could totally do
Boromir.
it. Yes.
I want him as Boromir for sure.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Dude.
And he can stay buff then.
Dude, that's excellent casting.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
he plays conflicted, loyal very well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's ingenious casting on my part.
It really
I support
is.
this.
It really is.
I
agree.
David Tennant is a little too scrawny.
Yeah.
I want David Tennant as Denethor.
No.
Psycho Denethor.
No. David Tennant's too good for Denethor.
Hey man, the psycho roles are the hardest to do.
I know. No, I mean
David Tennant.
He's too likable.
Sauron.
He's too likable.
Okay.
He would make an excellent. He's too old, but he would make a really good Merry.
I would do John Hurt as Saruman.
Yes, I support this.
Powerful voice. R.I.P. Christopher Lee.
Legolas could be Timothée Chalamet.
No, get out of here. Go.
I know, I'm kidding.
Timothée Chalamet is clearly a hobbit.
It's true.
Pippin. No. Faramir.
No. No.
Haradrim number 2.
No, that's...
It's shot.
No. He's too small. He's too small of a human to be... That's why I put him as an elf, because they're kind of small.
I had a decent one in my head, and I totally lost it.
For who? For Aragorn?
Oh, you know who I would hate, but who would actually get recast as Aragorn? I hate it too. I really hate it. It's what's his name? Jon Snow.
Kit Harington.
Kit Harington. That's the name. Kit.
He's too pretty.
He's too short.
Too short. Too pretty.
He's very short.
He could be Faramir. He could be the younger brother of Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
Yeah, you're right. He could be Faramir.
What about Richard Madden? Is that his name?
What role is he in that I would know?
Game of Thrones. He's Rob.
Oh, Rob Stark?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Actually, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
He could do it.
Yeah.
Grow those luscious locks out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The facial hair that he had for Rob Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he could work. I could see him doing it.
I still feel like he's too young. But maybe, by the time they get it rebooted, he'll be older.
I mean, also, when we first saw him in Game of Thrones, he definitely was too young. But that was also in 2010 or whatever, or 11.
Sir Jorah? Sir Jorah?
Jorah Mormont?
Yes.
I think he's too old now.
Yeah. Because he's probably the same age as Viggo Mortensen. I just really like Viggo Mortensen. I want them to find a forever young serum and to just, not forever young, forever, stop time Aragorn. Where you are. Yes.
Forever Aragorn.
That's what we'll call it. Forever Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. I don't hate the Rob Stark actor, though.
No, I think that could work. Funny to pull in one of Sean Bean's on-screen kids.
Yeah.
To play Aragorn, but who else from? They've cast Matt Smith as a Targaryen in the new Targaryen show, which I just don't like because I love Matt Smith so much.
Him in that white wig is ugly, dude.
It's real bad.
Have you seen the pictures?
I have. It's real bad. He's got such beautiful brown hair, just the most rich.
Those cheekbones are aggressive.
They are.
With that white wig. It also doesn't help that it's slicked back white wig too. Yeah. There's no. That's rough. That's a rough one.
Matt Smith
Benedict
is
Cumberbatch.
Legolas.
Matt Smith as Legolas. I don't love it.
I don't either.
I don't love it.
Don't you dare put Benedict Cumberbatch in my Lord of the Rings.
Why not?
I mean, I love him as an actor. You know what? You know what the beautiful thing about the Lord of the Rings is that for the most part, the people that they found to play the roles did not have huge names, except for the really old people.
Yeah, like Ian McKellen
and Christopher Lee and Hugo Weaving. Like, those three had, pretty big roles before Lord of the Rings.
And Kate Blanchett, yeah.
Yeah, but she wasn't, like... She was an Aussie, but she wasn't in, like, a ton of other, like, big blockbusters before Lord of the Rings. You know?
Yeah.
So, I think that the real, like, magic of it is that they found... I guess Sean Bean had been in a lot. Like, there were a couple that had been in a lot of things. But
the Hobbits were all, like, no names.
Right. Except for...
Legolas. Legolas was fresh out of acting school.
Technically not Sam.
Yeah, Goonies and stuff. Yeah, that's true.
But that was, like, as a much younger person. Right? I think.
Yes.
So anyway, you didn't come into the movies with, like, preconceived ideas on who these people were. Like, they just came to the screen as these characters, which is really, like, what you want.
Yeah.
You don't want to see the actor. You want to see the character.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the one that you said, the one that you suggested as my pick, because that's the only one that even doesn't have a visceral negative reaction in my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
And that'd be a good one.
I like the Uhtred. I have no idea what that actor's name is for Boromir.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm. That's real good.
That's a great one.
Because he can be so haughty. Like, you could totally see him busting into the Council of Elrond and be like, why weren't you all helping Gondor? Yeah. Carl Urban will reprise his role as Éomer. And all will be well.
Or actually, Uhtred would also make a great Éomer.
He would.
Because he's got...
No, totally. Very Scandinavian.
Oh, he's got the face for that, too. Yeah, he could definitely do that, too. Oh, man. I don't know which one I like more. I might like him more as Éomer, actually.
Where was Gondor when the Westfolds fell? I could totally see him saying that.
That's Theoden, though.
Yeah, but it's the same, like, energy.
Yeah. Him screaming, "To the cave!" when they, like, charge down the hill in Two Towers. Yeah.
I love those movies so much.
I'm going to have to rewatch those soon. It's been too long.
Yeah, same.
Anyway, I think we can wrap it up. But, I just want to throw you that little curveball. Wow. See if you could think of anyone who would recast your favorite all-time actor, probably.
As Aragorn.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen him in other things, and it doesn't hit the same. I mean, Hidalgo's very good, but it's
not the same.
He is Aragorn.
Harrison Ford as Gandalf.
No, he would never.
As grumpy old man.
He would never.
Just imagine the Han Solo voice. A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Just an American accent, like doesn't even try.
Oh my gosh. That's very funny.
Anyway, yeah, that's fun. So yeah, recasting. It happens. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you hate it.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today. So if you have any other things about recasting you wish we had touched on, let us know in the comments. Or if you're listening to this and you know us personally and you're like, why didn't you talk about this movie? Myra, go ahead and send me a text. We'll talk about it.
Me too. I like being in on the Myra texts.
Or Sam, or Sarah, or Mom and Dad. Anyone. That's all I got for recasting. So
love it. It was a fun episode. Thanks for hosting.
Yeah. So now you get to think of the next one.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that topic will be. But next week it'll be a Hall of Smoke. So yeah, again, if you want to jump in on that, read through chapter 11 for next week.
Which you totally should, because it's very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very good. So exciting. Female lead, first person.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes,
beautiful cover art too for the book. So yeah. Awesome. Well, I guess until next time, go read something cool.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.
Bye.